Well, new developments this morning in the case of Joe Horn. Now a Texas congresswoman wants a congressional inquiry into why Horn, who shot 2 burglars to death down in Texas, was not indicted. The retired grandfather shot and killed 2 men he thought were robbing his neighbor's house. A grand jury in Texas decided not to indict Joe Horn after hearing testimony. The case got national attention after the call that Joe Horn made to 911 just before the shootings went public.
You hear the shotgun clicking, and I'm going.
Don't go outside. I'm going to get on your radio, Jeff.
No, you're dead.
Pasadena.
Get the law over here quick. One of them's in the front yard over there. He's down. The other one's run down the street.
Where
I had no choice. They came in the front yard with me, man.
Where
I had no choice.
Well, joining us now is Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas, who says this case appears to be a miscarriage of justice. Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good morning to you. And first, let me express my concern for the members of our staff, Americans at the Turkish Embassy, and my best wishes to them as a member of the Homeland Security Committee. I think it's important, and good morning to Bill, and it's important to set the premise for my request for a federal inquiry. The wheels of justice are seamless. They are state, they are local, and they are federal. And they're governed by certain constitutional provisions of the right to a trial by jury, due process, civil rights protection. And so my call for a federal inquiry is because I believe the Harris County justice system is in crisis because of the faulty DNA that was declared in 2002 and 3, the fact that our DNA lab was only accredited in 2006, 101 deaths in the Harris County jail. These individuals were not sentenced to death.
I know you have other issues that are leading to your request for a congressional inquiry, but if I could just focus you on the one that you made public comments on recently, and that's the case of Joe Horn. That's a case that we've been following quite closely, so our viewers have some interest in on a national level. And you said that as far as many are concerned, justice was not rendered, and there needs to be a question about how this case was presented to the grand jury. Do you doubt the grand jury process here, Congresswoman?
Many people are not aware of the system of justice and the grand jury system in the state of Texas because, of course, it's different in every state. But yes, my question and my inquiry has to do with the constitutional provisions of due process and the right to trial by jury, and also the protection of the victims, if you will. And what happened in that case, allegedly, was based upon Texas law. But Texas law indicates that you have the right to protect your own property. This may require review by the Texas legislature as to what happened. It may be a review necessary as to how the district attorney's office that has clearly shown a bias by racist emails that they've had, along with the sheriff's department, as to how they prepared the case.
But the district attorney's office presented it to the grand jury, and the grand jury took a look at it, was informed about the law, heard testimony from Joe Horn himself, and came to the conclusion that no charges were necessary here. It sounds like you want to change the law. But how in any way does this result in a problem with this grand jury or with the prosecutors who did their duty by taking the case to the grand jury?
Well, Megan, you've answered your own question. First of all, it is well known in Harris County that 80 to 90% or more of the cases presented to the grand jury, which happens to be cases that deal predominantly with minorities, are taken to trial. In this instance, the prosecutor, of course, is the person who selects who the grand jury hears. The questions have to be who were presented to the grand jury. It's a closed session. It is not an open session. The selection of the grand jurors are by closed processes by judges of one particular view versus another.
But that's the way the grand jury system works in virtually all jurisdictions, that it's closed and it's up to the DA. But is there any specific evidence that this DA, in this case, presented an unfair picture to this grand jury, who heard from the most important person involved in this, most important people, Joe Horn, and the cop who witnessed the shooting, whose testimony tended to exonerate Joe Horn, Congresswoman?
Well, absolutely. We didn't hear from the victims because they are dead. And yes, there is evidence because we have a system in Harris County where the Harris County Sheriff has emails depicting racist comments about various individuals.
Well, what does that have to do with this case?
Talking about individuals because of their sexual orientation, and that has been found that there have been racist emails from the district attorney's office. So the question has to be, as individuals who have the responsibility for oversight, to make sure that we have a seamless system of justice that provides due process to all, whether they are the deceased or whether or not they happen to be Mr. Horn.
Understood.
I am not making any statement about Mr. Horn's innocence or guilt.
Understood.
What I am suggesting is that he should have a full public hearing, and there should have been some understanding of how that case was presented and why he has not been noted.
Full public hearing would indeed overhaul the grand jury system down there. But Congressman, we appreciate you being here with your thoughts.
We look forward to the federal inquiry.
Thanks so much.
All right, 19 minutes past the hour in a moment.